What's up, buddy?
What's poppin'?
How are you, man?
I'm great.
Thanks for taking your time out of your busy day for Live with Steve Lobel.
Believe that.
I look at you as like a little bro, but a big entrepreneur, a successful businessman, an incredible artist. But I want to tell the world, just explain to the world, who was Soulja Boy before 2007?
What's going on, folks with nothing better to do? I'm Blockzilla, you're watching the No Judgment Zone, and I have my guy Steve here. Pleasure to be here with you. Legend in the game, in my opinion, managed some of the biggest artists out there. How'd you get into managing artists?
Well, I'll give you a quick thing, shout out to Zilla and obviously Global Grind. I started in the music industry back in the early 80s through Run DMC and the late great Jam Master Jay, rest in peace, and my mentor Russell Simmons. From there, I became an A&R at Relativity Sony, where I worked with Fat Joe, 8 Ball and MJG, 3-6 Mafia, Common Sense, who is Common now, the Beatnuts, MOP, Eazy, Bone Thugs and Harmony, Frankie Cutlass, and the list goes on. And at that time, Big Pun, before he blew up, was Fat Joe's hype man. So, and then I eventually got into management. After Eazy passed away, I took over all the Bone Thugs and Harmony business and solo projects. And then I said, you know what, I'm gonna work for myself and not work for a company. And I started a management company, A to Z Entertainment, and I've managed Bone Thugs and Harmony till this day for 20 years. I've worked with Sean Kingston for 5-6 years. I, as a big pop singer, man. We discovered Nipsey Hussle and managed Nipsey Hussle for years, me and my partner Big U. I've helped out YG, I've helped out DJ Mustard, Ty Dolla. We managed Soulja Boy. I got a young DJ Kiss that I'm managing, and I do a lot of consulting now. Management is a hard job.
Yeah, because I think for me, I wanted to get into managing. I'm sort of managing an artist now, so it's just interesting to see what it's like. I don't even know what a manager does. You know what I mean?
Well, a manager job is hard. It's a 25/8, sacrifice, non-balanced position. Sometimes you're a babysitter, sometimes you're a loan shark, sometimes you're a psychiatrist. A manager that I feel the best management skills are organization, communication, common sense, which we know common sense is not common, never taking no for an answer, and following up.
Did you ask Russell to be your mentor?
No, I never asked Russell to be my mentor. I just felt like everybody needs a mentor. I do a lot of motivational speaking in juvenile halls and at high schools, and I tell people, do you know what a mentor is, or do you have a mentor? I think we all should have a mentor. Growing up, my mentor was my father and anybody that worked hard, because I just loved people that worked and had money. And then I got into the music industry, I just looked up to Russell Simmons. There was just something about him. Even though we're from the same neighborhood, I just looked up to him, and we're friends till this day. We're doing some projects together. I just felt like he was a great mentor.
How'd you get connected with Eazy-E and build that bond with him?
With Eazy-E, man, wow, one of the best to ever do it. And we gave Ruthless Records a distribution deal at Relativity Records, Sony, back in the days. And we were working all the projects from Ruthless. Was Eazy-E, it was App Band Clan, which will.i.am was an App Band Clan, and was signed to Ruthless. People don't know that. Bloods of Abraham was a white group, and then he signed Bone, and we broke Bone by the video music box back in the day, calling for Thuggish Rugged Bone. And then Eazy came.
So you guys would call up into the box? Wow. That's why that video was always on.
Yeah, and and there was marketing campaigns and companies, but it was a great song, and Bone came out with a great style, like R&B and rap. So Eazy happened to come to New York one day, and he brought Bone for the label to meet. They were 16, 17, never been to New York, probably never even left the hood, and I took Eazy to the tunnel, and I ran into Ice Cube and LL Cool J, and that's when he had all that problems, and I was like, oh shit. And I didn't even know Mac 10 was there. He was with Ice Cube, and Mac told me this once on a plane. We were on a plane. He's like, I was there that day, Steve, and I thought something was gonna happen. And then Eazy said, I'm gonna walk back to the hotel. He had a flannel, and he had his 2 security guards. He's like, I'm gonna walk back. Real guys, when they came to New York, like Pac or even Bone, they want to walk around the city. So he walked, and I guess he caught pneumonia walking. It was freezing out, and he passed away. So I had taken Bone back to the hotel, and they didn't know anybody after that. And they were young and wild, and hit records were coming, and I just, we just merged together, and like I said, I did all the solo albums at Crazy Bone Thug Mentality back in the 90s. We did all the Mo Thug albums that were all platinum and major tours, and I put together the Bone and Biggie collab, the Big Pun collab, and the Mariah collab with Bone, and I'm still with them. But basically, they were signed to the label, and they dealt with me, and then I just turned into their manager, and we've been through a lot with them.
So now you're doing a bunch of stuff. You told me you have a show, right?
Yes. You know, I was always a behind-the-scenes guy, and I started doing reality TV way before reality TV was big. I was on a private jet with Russell and Yandy, who now is Yandy Smith from Love and Hip Hop, Lazy Bone, Ludacris. We were doing the voter registration that Russell was genius to do. He would use rappers to go out to stadiums and arenas and bring out all these kids and say, hey, register to vote. You could change the world.
Still doing it now.
Yeah, and you could see these rappers perform. And you know, you had a lot of people sitting on the couch, playing PlayStation, smoking a blunt, drinking a 40, like, man, fuck Bush or fuck the crack or whatever the case is. We'll make a change. Get off the fucking couch and go make a change. So Russell did that, and I was heavily involved with it. And we did a tour, and I was flying back on a private jet to New York, and Yandy just started talking to me. She's like, you know, you got some crazy personality. That time she wasn't Yandy from Love and Hip Hop. And Russell's like, you don't know White Boy Steve? Like, everybody knows Steve. And she just like, I want to take your number. And about 6 months later, I got a call from Mona Scott, who's a dear friend of mine, who's not just from Love and Hip Hop. She was a big manager.
Violator, right?
Yeah, exactly. If people didn't know that. Just like Stevie J, who produced Bone and Biggie, and Mariah Carey, they think he's just the ghetto guy from Love and Hip Hop. Check your history on Stevie J, one of the best producers. And she called me and she's like, I'm doing a reality show, Missy Elliott, called Road to Stardom. I want you to play the manager. Way before our time, we were on UPN every Wednesday. Russell would flood me with Fat Phone. And we did it, but there was no social media, and you know, it had one season. And then I did Manager Celebrity in 07 with a bunch of managers like T.I.'s manager Jason Jeter, Akon's manager Divine Stevens and Big Ja, Daquan who managed Tyrese at the time, Mona. And we did a thing about management, and it almost went, but it just went to the internet. And then I did Millionaire Matchmaker, and I was gonna be on Love and Hip Hop LA. And at the end of the day, people say I have a lot of personality, and I'm just me. But I'm always behind the scenes guy, and then I was like, people started wanting to interview me because of my knowledge, and knowledge is key. I started doing that. So then someone approached me and said, you know what, I want to turn you into like a Jimmy Kimmel of hip hop, an Oprah Winfrey of hip hop. I think you have this great personality, you have a lot of connections, and you're not scared to ask a question. And I think if someone lies to you or fronts on you, you're going to tell them like, stop, in the interview. So it's live with Steve Lobel. We're going through complex blood culture, and I just dropped the interview with Soulja Boy. And I just dropped an interview with Deshaun Jackson. I'm trying to mix it up. I just did Nicki Diamonds, Ben Baller, J. Cole. We had a great one-on-one. I'm going to their atmosphere or their scenery or their house or their studio or their business. And then I'm going to turn into more about people really behind the scenes that helped hip-hop and older artists. Like,
so basically those people who we've seen in pictures but just had no clue who they were.
Exactly. Like I want to interview Rob Stone from Fader magazine, you know, that people don't know. I want
to discover Una, right?
Yeah, I want to interview Drew Ha from Duck Down, because at the end of the day, like I have this other thing called Hip Hop Don't Know You, and not to sound competitive, but repetitive but consistent. If you're a white rapper and you're living the style of your pants up your ass, your hat backwards, the fake chains like most people are wearing, saying the N-word, and not many people could say the N-word, they were white. Russell stamped me on Power 105 and said I could say it in Breakfast Club, and you say you rap, and you don't know who MC Serch is from Third Base or the Beastie Boys, hip-hop don't know you. If you're from the Midwest and you don't know MC Breed or Proof from D12, rest in peace, or Dayton Family, hip-hop don't know you. So I think you understand. So all these kids are running around thinking they're Instagram rappers, or they look the part and they say they rap. But how many of you know about 360 deals? How many of you have a lawyer, a manager? How many of you know about publishing? How many of you know about royalties? How many of you know about splits, ancillary rights? How many do you really know about the business?
How do you find out that stuff though?
I mean, first of all, you build your team. Now you're living in a Google world. You could Google everything and learn. There's books out there to learn. But back then, a lot of artists signed contracts just to be on and took their publishing away. And publishing is what makes you go to the mailbox and stay rich. Everybody just wants to be famous, and they'll skip and they want to cheat the game just to be famous and not learn the business and not learn the culture. It started with breakdancing and graffiti and DJing. So, you know, learn the game, learn the business side, learn who the forefathers are. If not, hip hop don't know you, in my book.
So let me ask you a question. Knowing the business the way you know the business, what happens when you come across an artist and you know they're getting jerked? Like, you know they're still paying, you know, someone's son for their publishing.
I'll be honest with you, man. Honesty is the best policy, and calm is a motherfucker. I've been around over 2 decades because of my reputation. I walk away from artists because they don't want to work. But at the end of the day, I like to really keep it 100. People say, oh, keep it 100? No. You could take the horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You bring the artist to an attorney. Sometimes I'd rather not recommend an attorney so they don't think there's nothing going on. And at the end of the day, you have your attorney, you look at those contracts. The attorney's job is to explain everything before you sign a contract. If you're buying a house, you look at your stuff. Anybody who doesn't sign contracts or have someone look at it, you're an idiot. And don't regret it later on, which you will. And basically, they're supposed to tell you in detail of everything. If you're doing a deal with Adidas, if you're doing a deal with Budweiser, Mountain Dew, read the contracts, have a lawyer. And they tell you. And if you say, well, I don't care, which most times happens, because everybody's just looking for their quick money because they come from nothing or they want to get the chain or a car and not even a house, and you just sign it away.
So tell me more about this. This is Boss Watermelon, and then we have these ones right here as well.
So basically, I'm an entrepreneur. I do a lot of different businesses, and it's basically a hookah cigar. This is a hookah cigar. It literally looks like a cigar. You'll think you're smoking a cigar, you can hold it like a cigar, and it's a cigar, but it's a hookah. And these are hookah cigarettes.
Zero nicotine too.
Yeah, anywhere.
Zero nicotine.
Anywhere brand. I'm doing a major endorsement with a major reality star. We'll be filming that. I'm writing my book. I can't talk right now about that.
I'm gonna find out.
I got my book coming out. It's called The Coach Lasts Longer Than the Player. And I'm gonna do it as a mobile app, so I could add, because God has keep blessing me with different things. I do a lot of motivational speaking now about music industry stuff and life. I do a lot of consulting because I want to live my life now, so I don't want to babysit as a manager 25/8. And then my model's reworking, and I got a lot more stuff. I'm working on a crazy TV show with Russell Simmons, and I'm working on some other things, and I got a little 11-year-old DJ that's about to explode. His name is DJ Kiss. And just got a bunch of tricks up my sleeve because I like to stay relevant and I like to keep making history, because I always tell people money comes and goes but history stays. I want to let everybody know that God is great, and you can follow me on Instagram at WeWorkin', and my Twitter's at Steve Lobel. You can just Google me. And knowledge is key, and patience and sacrifice equals success. Never give up, hard work pays off, and we working. Shout out Global Grind, Russell Simmons.
Yeah. Join us next week, folks, when we elbow everybody and tell them we working.
Hey, what's up? It's Steve Lobel, and we working, and you are watching Global Grind TV.
If anything, I can say when this guy was red, but I thought, nah, forget it. Yo home, the Bel Air. Now singing it.
They're almost tied as far as, smoking goes. So smoking with B Real was very similar to smoking with Snoop.